Hello, this is Logan Kahler with the Boone News-Republican. Today we have a special guest who is running for school board. The election is November 5th.
Yeah, so I've lived in Boone most of my life, all but 1 year. I was born in Oklahoma, and that was almost just like a fluke. My parents just happened to be down in there during the recessions back in the 80s, but for the majority of that, my parents lived in and around Iowa and central Iowa and things like that. So I've actually lived in Boone for 36 years of my 37 years of life. Wow. So graduated from Boone and definitely made some bad choices when I was in high school and went the wrong route, you would say. And I just got mixed up with a lot of different stuff that I probably shouldn't have in high school, and did that for a number of years. And it wasn't until my late 20s where I really started kind of questioning, like, where am I at in life and what am I doing with my life? And at that point, started getting plugged into a church and really got connected there and got my whole family connected there, and then really felt like I was meant to help those that had walked similar paths as me. You know, those kids in high school and those youths of Boone that were just really struggling with peer pressure and temptations, and I realized that my life could be something to help kids through. That I didn't just go through the scars of my life for no reason, like they could be used as a testimony to help others in similar struggles. So then got plugged in with the church and went to college to actually be a youth pastor, and was youth pastor at the Free Church for 5 years. And then 2 years ago, made the switch over to Stonebridge Church to focus more on outreach and community development. And while I was at the Free Church, I started working in some of those areas as well too, of like, we started putting together the trunk or treat and just wanting to provide like fun, family, safe things to do in the community. And so just started really getting involved in that. And so then as I moved over into Stonebridge, was really just to focus mostly on those kind of aspects. And so got plugged in with the local schools, and our church partners a lot with the local schools. Currently we provide snacks and clothing and sometimes Kleenexes, and try to appreciate the teachers. And really just, 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, when I sat down with some of the principals at that time, was really just like, what are your guys' actual needs here in these elementary schools, and how can our church come alongside you? And so they really helped me develop what it is that we do now with our We Heart Boone campaign through our church. And so then just through that, spent a lot of time with teachers, administrators, started going to PTO meetings, and hearing some of the passions and just how great some of our teachers and administrators are, and all the incredible things that our schools are doing. But then some of the struggles that they are having as well too. And so a couple years ago, or maybe even just like a year ago, no, it was a couple years ago, yeah. So there was some stuff that happened with the school board, and I really started questioning, like, what choices were made here and how did this work? And I didn't understand it and started digging into it, and was talking with a friend, and he goes, you have two choices right now. You can either complain like everyone else does about a choice that was made, or you can start to look at what you can do to be the change. And so, have you ever thought about maybe running for school board? No, what does that even mean? So we sat down and started talking about it and working through it, and just one thing led to another, and started talking with some teachers and talking about what they would like in a school board member, and some administrators, and just one thing led to another. And it was evident that I should at least put my name out there and attempt to run for school board, because I think I bring almost a balance. Like, I'm willing to listen to people and hear both sides of stories. And I really want to just appreciate and support our administrators and our teachers. And that's one thing that I feel at times has been lacking. And so that's really something I want to help with through school board, is just that support and appreciation.
So I'm actually curious, when you talked to the actual teachers and they said what they wanted to hear or what they wanted to see in a board member, what did they say Don't tell me who they were, but what did they say? And did your expectations and your goals kind of coincide with that, with what they wanted, or how did it go?
I was out collecting signatures to run for school board, and I actually gave the sheet to a current teacher, and she said, I will definitely sign this. I would love to have you as a school board member. I wouldn't be scared to talk to you. And that kind of shocked me, and because I know a lot of the current school board members, I used to be, not even used to be, like just kind of different paths, but Scott Dejanev and I used to be friends in high school, and
Yeah.
I've known Scott for a long time. I used to work with Jeremy's dad, and so it's like, I know a lot of these guys and these gals, and I'm like, what are you scared of? These men and women aren't people to be scared of. But there is just that perception of like, well, they're the ones that control and lead everything, and there's just like this inherent fear in there. And I was like, no, like we need to be a school board that is part of the community. Mm-hmm. You know, and I know at different times they have been. I know Jeremy's going to literacy night with his kids, and I know that Dr. Melhouse is going to his daughter's plays. But for the elementary teachers that haven't had Dr. Melhouse's daughter in years, they don't know who he is and really how to communicate with him. Yeah. And so just wanting to have more of an ability that, yeah, we're here and we're available. It doesn't mean that every single issue that a teacher brings, I'm going to be demanding to be brought to a school board, but it's just letting people know that you're here and you're listening to them. Yeah. I think that gives teachers support in a lot of ways, just to know that they're heard and valued, because teachers' jobs on a day-to-day, it can be rough. And just some of the stuff that they deal with. And so just knowing that they have support at that top level of school board, and that they've got people that are willing to listen to them and listen to all sides, I think is really beneficial. And so, yeah, that was a lot of things when talking with people, and that they kind of just felt that they didn't have the support. They didn't have a board that would necessarily listen to them. So that's just something I've always been passionate about. So
how has the campaign been so far?
It's been good.
Any road bumps or anything, or?
No bumps at all, really. I've just had a lot of really good feedback. Some people have questioned my profession and how that plays into some of my beliefs with public schools and this kind of stuff. You know, a pastor being in the school board and that kind of stuff. And when I actually sit and talk with people, and they actually bring their questions to me, and we get the opportunity to talk, you can just see them start to melt. It's like, oh, he isn't like I've always thought or always assumed or whatever it may be. So that's been really, really encouraging, just having these conversations with people. And yeah, the random phone calls that I just get, and you don't even know the number. When you called me, it was just like, I don't know who this is. I'm going to let it go to voicemail and then call back. Yep. I'm starting to learn that process, because I can't always just answer and talk for 10, 15 minutes to somebody. So just learning to vet it through a voicemail and call back. But I always do try to call back within a day. And just talk to people. So yeah, it's been good. So
yeah, you talked a lot about transparency and support and caring. Off the top of your head, what is the first and probably the biggest concern that you believe is underaddressed that you would like to address almost immediately if, say, you earn the position of school board?
Yeah, I think a big thing is new superintendent. I'm realizing, and this kind of goes with that transparency aspect, in just talking with people, when I've talked about a new superintendent, some people are like, oh, do you want to get rid of the current superintendent? I'm like, oh no, he retired.
Yeah,
he turned in his retirement before this school year.
Pretty soon.
And so he's fulfilling this year, and then he's leaving. So we have to find a new superintendent. And they're like, oh, and so like some people out there just don't even understand some of that stuff. And so I think that's a big thing for us to be doing is immediately trying to find a new superintendent, someone who can lead well and be a part of the community and really just hopefully can just fall in love with Boone and the Boone schools and the teachers and the administrators here. And so with that, though, that kind of brings in that transparency aspect of, Greg Picklap is a good friend of mine, and that's something I've just really appreciated about his counsel, is that he's just so transparent and open and just so willing to engage with people. And people in the community aren't very shocked when the city does something. They may not like it, what they do, but they're not as shocked lately because Greg is out there posting agendas and then he's posting recaps afterwards. So people are well informed. And I think it can be as simple as that, just letting the community know this is what's going to be discussed and this is what we did decide. And I understand there are aspects of every meeting that needs to have some privacy to it, and you're not going to make public knowledge about certain aspects of whatever's going on within the school board or the schools or community or council or even within a church where there's some aspects of privacy that we have to have. But when we're talking about voters and their taxes and what's affecting their children, that's stuff I think that you can let them know. And a lot of times the agendas are posted on this website, and if you know where to go to find it, it's all there.
Right.
But a lot of us parents and teachers don't always just know where to go to find that information. So it's just kind of funneling and just sharing the information in appropriate places. So
I agree.
Yeah.
Were you at the meeting last night?
I was, yeah.
Okay. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it, as we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
They hired a new, was it community resource officer or a
SRO,
new SRO for the school?
Resource officer, yeah.
What are your thoughts on having an SRO in the schools? Do you think that's an essential component to having that in the schools, or what are your thoughts?
I think it can be an asset, absolutely. I was talking with somebody recently about it. I've talked to people in the community about it, and it seemed like many people really wanted that. And I know a mayor wanted it, and I know some of the council members wanted it. And I hadn't done a lot of talking with people that actually on the ground floor of it. But the reality is, we have 5 schools. And so you have an SRO at the high school, and you have an incident at the middle school. It's going to take the SRO just as long to get there as it is just to call the police. And so there is that element that Boone is spread out enough that, Franklin to the high school, just calling the police if there's some sort of incident is going to get them there faster. Now, I do see a value in just having a school resource officer, and I think having them at the high school where a majority of the incidents potentially could happen.
Yeah.
That's when teenagers start making those choices that I made in high school of drugs and alcohol and whatnot. And so they're the ones right there. And so having him there to hopefully diffuse and even maybe put a little bit of fear in the students, like, oh no, I probably shouldn't try to sneak this stuff into school or try to get away with something at school, because I know the SRO is there most of the time. So I think there is value in it, and just interested to see moving forward, like how we can streamline the process more and more to have him available. I brought it up last night. I was texting somebody during the meeting as they were talking about it. I think a big portion for our kids is just, we've done this with trunk or treat and with our back to school event that we did at the church this past year, we invite the police into that because a lot of times our at-risk kids, the reason they're at-risk kids is because their parents have made some sort of choice that has put them at risk. And so unfortunately, we have kids in this community that have just negative feelings anytime they see a police officer.
Yeah.
They just instantly are scared because their first thought is, that's the cop that took my dad to jail, or that's the cop that was at the house last night breaking up mom and dad's fight, whatever it may be. And so the more and more we can get our police in the community at fun events, or just having an SRO just at the school high-fiving kids, like, it just starts to raise that level for all the kids. Like, no, these aren't the bad guys. These are the guys that are here to protect us, and these are the good guys. So I think that could be a huge blessing. So that's why I was texting somebody. I was like, this SRO needs to be at as many events as we can get him at, to be a friendly face to the kids. So
that's a really good point. I like that. Perfect. Well, thank you for stopping in, Joey.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure getting to meet you.
yeah, thank you.
And I wish you the best of luck on the campaign trail.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Logan.
Thank you.